ain't happy. Alright, we better coast her into the driveway here. Okay. Alright, shut that off. Let's start. I just can't believe it. I said all those nice things about you. The unicorn is back. Actually, the unicorn stabbed me in the back. Actually, if I'm being honest, it never left. If you haven't seen it before, this is a 1995 Dodge Ram 2500. It's four-wheel drive. It's got the P Pump 12-valve Cummins. It's basically in mint condition. We are quite a ways from the shop, so I hope we can make it back. Usually it's fine for a few minutes, and then it'll start to act up again. You gotta let it cool off. It's hot today, like 95 degrees Fahrenheit. What's that, like 30 degrees Celsius, something like that? Seems to be okay right now. Started its misfire. So it's dead on at least one cylinder. That's got to be at least two cylinders. Right there, the throttle's stuck on me. Yeah. So I'm not touching the gas pedal at all right now. That is weird. My foot is off the pedal. There, it finally came down. Now it's dead. No, now it's back. There's some kind of an apparition in this injection pump. Alright, yeah, we're dead. This is a lot of fun. Beautiful day, though. Alright. I think we've seen what we needed to see. We'll let her cool off for a minute. Hopefully we can make it back to the shop in our last jaunt. It's dead. Alright. So the big thing to pay attention to is the fuel pressure gauge. As far as I can tell, it has good fuel pressure. Yeah, so it bounces all over the place, but that's not unusual. Yeah, see, it still had fuel pressure when it died. It's really hard to see on this gauge. I need a fluid-filled gauge that damps out the pulses of the mechanical pump. Not right at all. What do you got going on here, pup? What's more destructive, the rodents or the 50-pound canine who won't leave them alone? Huh, pup? This is why we can't have nice things, Max. All right, carry on. Well, it's a diesel engine, so it's got to be a fuel problem. But I don't think it's a simple fuel problem. You know, it's not water in the fuel or low fuel pressure or even a problem with the shutdown solenoid. The symptoms are too weird. The secret seems to be temperature. It's got to be smoking hot for it to act up. The day I caught it, it was 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and I was probably 25 or 30 minutes into my drive. You know, AC on, just cruising. It starts as a misfire, single cylinder misfire, and then it becomes a multi-cylinder misfire, like at least 2, maybe 3 cylinders misfiring. Truck has no power, it's bucking and shaking. Then you lose throttle response, and it's pretty sketchy. It actually sticks on first. Like, you let your foot off the throttle and it does not come back up. The RPMs stay where they are, and then when it does finally come down, it falls all the way down, usually to 0, and the engine dies. But what's weird is it won't usually restart right away, but if you shut it down for maybe a minute or 2 minutes, it'll start right back up and it'll run fine for 5 minutes maybe, and then the process repeats itself. It's got to be the pump, right? The injection pump. I mean, what else could it be? Especially with the weird throttle sticking issues. The throttle shaft is in the injection pump. The reason I'm hesitant though is that this is a Bosch P Pump, and I've never seen one fail like this before. I've never seen one fail, period. These things just don't have problems. But it seems like this one does. So I guess let's pull it off, and we'll send it down to Area Diesel Service in Carlinville, Illinois. They're the experts. They can tell me what's wrong with it. Max has got a rodent cornered, but we can't get it. It's driving him crazy. Which means he's driving me crazy. Come on, Banks. What the... How are you supposed to get that off there? I don't know. I guess we just call Gail Banks and have him come do it for us. There's no way to get that bolt off. Hey, there we go. 1/4 inch drive. The secret. Alright, will it finally come off? That's one of the more ignorant things I've ever seen. We're going to try to pull this throttle bracket off. Maybe. That's loose. Okay, Got to remove this hose here that goes to the wastegate. That thing's on there. There we go. There's a vacuum hose back here. This is the fuel return line. Also has a pressure regulator built into it. Yeah, it's fun. Sometimes you have to actually notch the air inlet section of the block there to get this thing out. This would appear to be one of those. No worries, we're taking the whole pump off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then this is the fuel supply line. Pull our... That's my adapter for the fuel pressure gauge. Alright, we gotta set the timing. So down underneath of the injection pump, there's a little plastic timing pin. Just gonna push that in, and we'll wire the engine over. Alright, the timing pin engaged the gear, which means we're now lined up at top dead center compression on cylinder number 1. But you got to pull the timing pin back out of the gear before you do the next step, because you don't want to shear that plastic pin off. So next we're going to try to get the nut off the end of the injection pump shaft that holds it to the timing gear. And you need a 30mm socket. The trick is there's no way to really hold the engine. I don't have a good way to hold the engine while we do this. If it was a manual, we'd just put it in gear. But being automatic, it's not quite that easy. So we're just gonna give her a good whack here and hope for the best. We got it. Cool. Now we'll reinstall the timing pin before we reinstall the pump, just to make sure everything's timed up the way it should be. Alright, now the tricky part. Do not drop the nut or the washer behind it down inside the timing cover. You're going to have a bad time if you do that. Okay, there's the nut. The pump timing gear has a taper. We have to break that taper loose. So I've got a puller installed on the gear. There it is. Should be 2 bolts that go into a bracket. one. Are we missing a spring off of that one? I think so. And two. Pull the oil supply line off the back side here. Maybe, if it wants to play nice. I'd like to see the factory tool for installing these nuts. There's one. Sorry about all the road noise in this video. Agriculture is in full swing. I mean, it's normally nuts during the harvest, but when corn's $6.50 a bushel, they're pretty anxious to get it out of the field. All right, we're good. I heard it hit the floor. Well, technically, that should be loose, right? Yes, sir. There we go. There it is, the Bosch P Pump. Got ourselves some sweet swag. More importantly, we got ourselves a rebuilt pump. Man, it looks phenomenal. Who even cares if it works? Look at that, they even replaced the torn boot on the shutdown solenoid. What a great company. I cannot say enough good things about Area Diesel Service. They do amazing work. Yeah, you'll have to go to their channel to see what was done to rebuild this pump. I did not have time to go down there and witness it myself. Curtis sent me a few pictures with the damage, and I actually had to ask him what I was looking at. I couldn't see it. It's very subtle, but they fixed it, they tested it, they're confident that it's going to work. They definitely did not turn it up. They did remove an aftermarket fuel plate. So that's good. Yeah, phenomenal. All right, let's put it on. The warning label here tells us that this is a pump that has to be pre-lubed. So we're gonna have to remove this plug here at the top and fill it up with oil. Also, it is lock timed. There is no key. I didn't drop it, it doesn't exist. We have to pull this plug here and time the pump with a pin, and then we'll retime the engine with the pin through the cam gear. Once those two things are in agreement, we lock up the tapered shaft here, and Bob's your uncle. It should be timed already. We're gonna see. Yes. So this is the timing pin here. In this orientation, it's holding the pump in time. Once we get it installed, we'll flip this plug around and then it gets stored like this. So, yeah, they've already got it set up for us. We don't have to worry about that. There we go, we're locked in. All right, the timing is set on the engine. The timing is set on the pump, so we should be able to put the two together and come out right where we want to be. Here we go. Oh man, it hasn't gotten any lighter, I can tell you that much. All right, I got the pump bolted up. It's pretty straightforward. There's 2 bolts and 4 nuts. They want you to just snug them all up and then torque them down. There is a torque spec. If you can get a torque wrench on those 2 inside nuts in any meaningful way, be my guest. I just did it by feel. I've got the nut up here on the shaft. Into the timing gear, we're going to tighten that down to about 10 foot-pounds. So we're really just snugging it up. Okay. All right, now we have to remove the timing pin from the pump and the timing pin from the camshaft gear, and then we'll do a final torque on that nut. They don't want you to shear off those timing pins. Okay, timing pins are out. I'm going to torque this bad boy down to 122 foot-pounds. Which is a lot. Okay. All right, I'm just going to visually check, make sure that the timing fin is still in the center of the window here. Looks good. And then I'll check maybe. There it is. Looks good. Okay. That's it. We're timed. Okay, we're supposed to pre-fill the injection pump with 750 milliliters of clean engine oil. Must be a little colder in here than I thought. This stuff's like molasses. Ah, of course. Man, it's gonna go in real slow. Should have figured it took forever for the oil to drain out, so it's only logical that it would take forever for it to go back in. Alright, well, I'll see how much of this I can spill, and hopefully we can get enough in there to do the job. I believe we're full of oil. While it was slowly filling up, I went ahead and assembled pretty much everything else. I've got to hook up the return line. I think we can go ahead and bleed this supply line. Let me see if I can get a... This will work. And I'll push that plunger on the mechanical pump. We'll see if we can get fuel up here. There we go. Okay. I'm a little bit gun shy about holding down pedals, so I've got an assistant. Can you hold the gas pedal all the way down? And then crank it. Key should be right there. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, hold the gas pedal all the way down. And then crank it. You can let it up. Alright, well we got, I think we got all of them, don't we? Alright, foot down, crank it just a little bit more. Alright, well let's try it. See what happens. Alright, don't hold the pedal all the way down. Then crank it, see if it starts. No, no foot down, just crank it. Yeah.
I didn't turn it on.
All right, lady, we're done. Thank you.
Great.
Bye, Max. Let's go for a ride. I had to turn the idle speed down just a hair. Otherwise, I think we're good to go. It feels like I might have a little more power, which is weird because they definitely didn't turn it up. Roads are terrible. I don't even have frost yet and I can barely keep the truck on the road. Are you gonna catch that mouse, pup? I know, you're trying. Alright, I forgot to record an outro for this video, so this is me recording an outro for this video. It has a happy ending. The Dodge seems to be fine. It runs good. I've driven it all over the place. The problem is, even before we fixed it, 99% of the time it ran fine, and I could drive it all over the place. In fact, I drove that truck over 200 miles before I got it to finally act up. And the critical factor was temperature. And it's cold now. It's probably not going to be in the 90s again for another 4 or 5 months, maybe longer. So I don't know, we may not really know until we can replicate the conditions, but I'm pretty confident, you know, Area Diesel, they know what they're doing, and I feel confident that they fixed the problem. I can't say enough good things about them. You guys need to check them out. I'll put links to their videos and a link to their channel, as well as contact information for them. If you have a problem with diesel injectors, a diesel injection pump, or a turbocharger, contact them. I guarantee that they can do you some good. What else, Max? Oh, it's Thanksgiving weekend. I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. And yeah, we're going to move on to other projects. Thanks for watching.